akwai abin da yasa. In most cases, normal blood is made up of red blood cells and other components, but then mainly the red blood cells sune the main carriers of oxygen. So muna breathe in and out. Red blood cells nanke dokan oxygen from lungs so na koina brain, legs, everywhere. So but then they have a structure. So you command disc and the disc yake kasang abenga donut yanda donut yake normal shape kena. So you're very flexible, so you have to move through the body very comfortably, so you have to squeeze, so be very tiny capillaries to deliver oxygen. But Iazo Gami the sickle cell, there is a problem with that red blood cell because yende kamada you do not shape and you do not shape by azama sickle, kaman crescent moon. Yenda abenga moon ya fara fitoa yende iki, yeah, that's how it looks like, yeah, azama rigid. So mostly I can the normal red blood cells this sickled cell be so mostly undescribed or non-condition as a sickled red blood cell.
Okay.
So mainly description and what sickle cell kega.
All right. Yanzu na gani so sai gaskiya na jin but ban san menene ko make okay. So make a cow wannan sickle cell.
Okay, interestingly, yeah, very common in this part of the world.
No.
Largely. And
Africa,
Africa and even West Africa. Wurarinda malaria keda very endemic.
Okay.
Like for example, West Africa. So nkaje some continent, it's not so common. Mayesa some time back, say jikimuna so ya protect mu in the sense that shemuna mutua from malaria very much.
Okay.
And in our body's attempt to evolve to protect us, that was how come the sickle cell developed, and this is why. Now, malaria, ko mosquito ya echizeka, yeah, shigechiking your body. For the malaria parasite to develop, they need to go into your red blood cell and stay there for some time. So, unsunje chicken red blood cell, and that's where they grow and then become full adults. But if the cell is sickled, unsun shigechiking one red blood cell and they don't survive to growth. So it was a body's evolution attempt to protect you from malaria or death due to malaria.
Okay.
But then one abenga process and you lead into development of the sickle cell condition.
No.
Now, co-one two components in the K form genome. One from your mom, one from your dad.
Okay.
So what are non-components and what is forming your red blood cell? The information from your mother is okay, form normal red blood cell.
Yeah.
The information from your father is form normal red blood cell. You are okay.
Yeah, okay.
Kira E in because the genotype, the information to code for one cells and is normal. But then if you inherit the modified information to produce one red blood cell then that is what is usually described as the red the S hemoglobin. So one gaya majikin can produce sickled cells. So if you get one from your mom, which is coding for the sickled cell, one from your dad coding for the same sickled cell, then you develop a condition called sickle cell condition.
Okay.
But then if in the instance come on just one parent kida she treats and then your father give you the trait to code for normal red blood cells, and then your mother or father give you the code to code for abnormal red blood cell, then you are only a carrier. You are not told to have the sickle cell disease, but rather you have the trait which you can transmit to your children, basically. So it's genetic. You're not checking the very information that makes up the body. Kamanyanda, you have your color of your hair, a part of you, somebody will say, well, you look like your grandfather or your mother or your auntie. The same thing. Your sickle, the information to code for your hemoglobin is also inherited from both parents. Okay. So both parents would have to give you a normal coding for you to have AE. But if one gives you abnormal coding, which is what is coding for the S, which is the genetically modified one, then you end up with a condition called either sickle cell disease, if it is SS, or a sickle cell carrier or trait, which is AS. Yeah.
Wow, joke. So one kind of like ana iPhone mutun da shi ne even though from how come yanayin mu ko kuwa geographical setting nan batun malaria da sauran su shi je kirkiro mana ire-iren wa'annan to shi kamar yanzu ana haifan mutum da shi through the genes ko ba haka ba, is genetic.
It's genetic. Okay. It's genetic.
So how do you now know that one ya tashi that someone is having it?
Okay, so it starts from the parents.
Okay.
We are excuse watching great grandparents because they probably didn't have ways of checking. Even that, when you study the history very much, some background investigations and the families can even go ahead to get married, which is linked to health.
No.
Do they die early? Do they have unexplainable disease or inexplicable diseases? But then in this era, you do not need to rely on hearsay and those things. So the core part of it now is just do the test. So it starts from the parents. We don't have any excuse in this era not to be able to know. So the moment you are married and you are both sickle cell, you have the trait, then you know that for every birth you have, you need to find ways to find out. You get it? You testing. There are several tests to be able to confirm if you inherited it or not. Because early detection could also be very helpful. In Yazo chicken, duban, what under suke tarida treating. So early detection is very important. So it starts from us. If I'm AA, matana kuma AA, then I don't have to worry or even bother.
That is the blood group.
Yeah, that's the genotype.
The genotype.
Now, if you give me the opportunity, saying explain AA. Now, Kafin kache mazaka take your relationship to the next step in this era. Just go to the hospital. It costs less than 150 cedis. Yeah, it's Sahadama.
Okay.
And these days, people are getting more aware. But those days, people didn't care. So Audi should carry it and they find out that they have it. But then in this era, 100 cedis, 150 cedis. If you are not sure, you go to another hospitals because human error. I've had instances where they were told this is it. And then after marriage, one almost led to a breakup in a marriage because
so you go to the hospital, and what do you tell them? Like,
so you are coming to check your genotype.
Your genotype.
Yeah, your genotype, not the blood group.
Not the
blood group is different.
Okay.
The blood group is a different categorization, but particularly the genotype.
Okay.
And then they do tests like Sickling tests. Okay. They do tests like HB electrophoresis, which is a very specific test to tell if you are AA or AS. Or there are other categories, the AC, but then they are not frequently referred to. The one with very, very important medical implication is the Sickling genotype. So basically, they are tested in the hospital to find out either as a newborn baby, which has its own test that they do, or as a grown-up, just before you go into that relationship or make that decision that I'm settling with this person. You just have to do it. Yeah.
So it means that jama idan ka gamu da me shi kaga kaman tayi maka sai ka ce mata to yanzu bari mu je mu yi test din nan sai mu ci gaba da relationship nan ko ba haka ba.
Exactly.
All right. So what are some of the ababen da masu tare da wanga sickle cell nan suke binciken irin yanayin da suke fuskanta?
Symptoms. Okay. They go through a lot. One of the very obvious and mostly frequent thing they go through is anemia. Anemia is shortage of blood.
Okay.
Obviously, because sickling cell and none are not, and this is why the normal red blood cell survives for 120 days before it dies.
Okay.
Before the body recycles it.
No.
But the sickling stays for very short time.
You.
So the red blood cells are unable to produce as quickly enough as in a regular person. So you are almost always anemic. You don't have enough blood. You get it. But again, as said, once you know this early, aside that, today have something which is very common. It's called sickle cell crisis. And this is how it happens. Now for the earlier command, the red blood cells are now very flexible. They can go through the small veins in our body. But the sickling is sticky.
Okay.
And yeah, taru ni junction, a block vein in nang jinibe uchewa. And once that happens, you can experience either very severe pain.
Wow.
And usually in the crisis, if you've had a friend or somebody who has sickle cell, they tell you that they have an episode. And usually it's an emergency. and rush me to the hospital, give some medications to, help with the crisis that they are going through. And then aside that too, akwai condition that kiran acute chest syndrome. Some instances, these blockades can happen inside the lungs. You get it? And in your chicken lungs, and if you experience very severe pain in the chest, and mostly some of them have stunted growth or diminished growth. They don't really have a body, who they remain very smallish, or they didn't grow as big as they were supposed to grow. So these are some of the things that people with sickle cell go through. Very regular anemia, very regular crisis. They are usually fatigued. Some will tell you they are almost always very tired, and a list of other complications that can arise.
Wow. Yeah. So don't kasan muke muna kanji, we are not doctors, but sometimes, especially blacks.
Okay.
Magana yazo kowa kaga wannan fadi an ce yan sickle cell kaza, we associated to ababe da dama. I don't know, there's this issue that yan sickle cell, they normally fall sick, like nanda na sheichi, nanda na kullu alkuniya yesu dike carry. Is it like that?
I've always in my space, come Facebook Unama, say that don't refer to people who have sickle cell as sickless.
Okay.
It's a very popular term out there, but then they have a name. Refer to them by their name. Just like every pathology, every health condition, you don't identify people because they have certain conditions. That said, yes, people with sickle cell sooner report very regularly with health conditions, because what anga pathologies or conditions and that already mentioned and that how do you call anemia? How do you call it? They get jaundice. Sometimes their eyes are very yellow, and this is because of okay, I don't want to go into the complexities of the explanation of the jaundice, but basically it's also associated to the red blood cell and breakdown of hemoglobin and production of something called bilirubin. So yes, people with sickle cell, if not managed, would visit the hospital very regularly, because the whole system designed to transport oxygen through the system is problematic. So you have to know your condition, know how to treat yourself. Once it is well managed, you might not experience regular episodes of crisis, regular episodes of some of these conditions. But then it is true that the average person who has sickle cell would get some of these health conditions pretty regularly, especially if it's not even well taken care of, or by any special care to make sure that they are fine and always okay. Yes. So
right, talking about managing the condition or situation, we all know that, preventing it from the start is when you have to go and do the check.
Yes.
But this is a case whereby, in a scenario where you're seeing one number, and then we've had someone, Yatashi is sickle cell. So talking about managing, let's now come to the manage. Yes. How do you then manage it now that you know you have it already? Okay. How do you manage the situation?
That's a good one, because there's a plethora of approaches. There's different angles to it: dietary, lifestyle modification, and medications. These are the three main directions.
So we have a sickle cell patient. Can I refer to her?
Yeah, you can, but then somebody who has sickle cell,
or we have somebody who has sickle cell, on the line, and we want to speak to her.
Great,
take her. Hello, salaam alaikum. Hello, salaam alaikum. Hello, salaam alaikum. Barka da warhaka. Yeah, hello, salaam alaikum. Wow.
I think the network.
Yes, we are having some challenges.
Okay.
Hearing here, but let's continue. You are talking about how to manage. Hello, salaam alaikum. Hello, salaam alaikum.
Call has been put on hold. Please wait. Your call has been put on hold. Please wait.
I think we are having the connection problem.
Okay.
Let's go on.
Okay.
Yes. So talking about how to manage.
Okay. So as I mentioned, there are dimensions to management: health, dietary, lifestyle modification and medication. So you have to eat right. I usually almost always refer people to dietitians. Speak to them. Everybody have got peculiarities or kowanada yenda shichi won shieke ekamadaka request. There are dietitians, district hospitals suma on your contact list, because yenda mukazama very socialized community. Yeah. Once you ask one or two nurses or doctors, the only dietitian, there's abaka. There are regimens, there are kinds of foods that you should eat. Eat healthy, green leafy vegetables, eat a lot of fruits, etc., etc. That helps with blood production. Aside that,
so the dietitian, is it different from a nutritionist?
Yeah, a nutritionist is different from dietitian.
Okay. Hello, salaam alaikum.
Okay.
A minute, please.
No
Hello,
problem.
salaam alaikum. Hello, salaam alaikum.
Wow. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barka da warhaka. Ya, hello, kina lafiya? Hello, kina jina? Wow. Sorry. Sai muna so mu ji magananta domin tana tare da wannan cuta.
Okay.
Kuma da muna so mu gani how has life been, da makamancin su, but unfortunately
the network has been bad. Maybe along the line.
Along the line, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Muka same ta mun connecting.
Sure.
So kace dietitian
and a nutritionist that are two different things.
Okay.
Nutritionists are more in line with formulation of food.
Okay.
Yenda za, for example, this product here, how to package and present it.
Hello?
How to formulate. Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello?
Assalamu alaikum. I can hear you. Ina jinki. Hello, ina jinki. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Right, doc. Na gani akwai connection problem. Let's try to fix wannan problem. Jama'a mun kokari mu magance wannan matsalar. Idan muka magance matsalar insha Allah za mu kokari mu connecting ta sai mu tattauna da ita, amma har ila yau muna cikin fira da shi likita Dr. Yakubu Yusuf.
Yes.
Now, doc.
Yes.
Yanzu kana batun hanyoyi da ake yi a warware ko kuwa a magance wannan matsalar ta sickle cell.
Okay.
Kai batun kula da abinci ko ba haka ba?
Yes. Ciye-ciye. Na kuma yi batun abinga lifestyle modification. Ka san abinda koko kin san abinda ke tare da ke, so ka san kaman akwai wurin su physical activities in da bai kama da ka yi for a very long time, but like very aggressive exercise, go running for too long and all of those things, because ki get very fatigued very easily. And regular checkups. Man. Okay.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. Naam, yankuri barka da warhaka. Masha Allah. Finally mun same ki, ina ga wayan na ta abin nan. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Right, quickly, zaki iya ki gaya mana as wani da Ubangiji Allah ya jarabce ki da wanga cuta, how has life been? How has life been? I mean, how has living with wannan cuta impacted on your daily life?
First of all, now for this opportunity to talk about sickle cell.
No.
And then kuma ni da kaina ina da sickle cell, kuma na wannan SS genotype ne.
Okay.
Which is the most severe, one of it. This is genotype in shi yasa yana nan ne a kowane lokaci kana cikin ciwo ne.
Wow.
Kana cikin ciwo ne yayi kaman abin da baka da kanka. Domin at any point in time wani abu ya faru to kai ka kwanta kenan.
Wow.
Kamar misali kamar school haka. Wani wasa na nan ana yi cikin school kai ba kai ya kai saboda abin da kake faru da shi. Wani aiki na nan ana yi kai ba kai ya kai saboda abin da kake faru da shi. Sai sa yayi kaman kana da limits ne to everything that you want to do in life, because first of all kana sa rayuwanka karfinka da abin da ke faru da kai farko sannan komai da ya biyo baya.
Okay.
Ka fahimce ne.
Kwarai kuwa.
Sa challenges nan da it's like yana nan ne kowane lokaci kuma akan kowane anya. Kuma kowa da kan da yake duba challenges shi. Haka ne?
Na'am.
Kowa da kan da yake wani na nan kaga shi sickle ne amma kan da yake kula da kanshi, yake kula da shan magungunan shi, yake kula da abinda doktoci suka gwada mai yake bi da shi. To wannan yana taimakon mai shi ya samu ya yi wasu ababen da amma duk da wannan yana da limitin da ya kamata in ya kai wanga dai bai ya je kuma. Shi yasa challenges da yana nan ne da dama, yana nan ne kuma cikin everyday living yana nan domin kamar wadanga da ya zo yanzu haka.
Na'am.
Yanzu wadanda da sanyi. Ni kuma I'm a corporate worker kuma ka understand banda abin da nake yi da kuma corporate worker ne. Shi yasa ina office cikin wanga weda ana adari an kunna AC. Bayyance ma colleague na kaman kashe AC.
Su kashe, na'am.
Wani bi ma muna misunderstanding ne domin ba kowa ya yi fahimta ko ya fahimce kan da wannan lamari yake ba.
Haka.
Shi yasa wannan nan yana kawo damuwa sosai. Shi yasa tumin nan na kaman inda muka je gaba. Government ya kamata ya taimake mu samu ko da wani wurin ne da ba wani AC ba wani sanyi haka for mu da muke corporate side nan. Mu ma mu samu mu zauna mu yi aiki kowane lokaci domin in sanyi ya dame ka ya kawo matsala.
Ka shiga uku, na'am.
Aha, kuma sometimes kuma zafi kuma ya kana ka samu masu duka da temperature na like abin gan na weather nan yana ya kawo matsala a wannan bangaren nan. Shi yasa kullum ya kamata ka sa wani abu ka rufe jikinka ka yi
domin ka tsare kanka. Na'am.
Exactly. Kaga mu yanzu haka.
Na'am.
In ce dai mun girma mun waye kan wannan.
Na'am, lamarin.
Al'amura exactly. Shi yasa muna sani kamar okay in nayi haka.
Hakan zai okay.
In nayi haka ya yi mini. Amma wanda yake tasowa tun school wani kamar karami haka bai da wayo bai sani ban na je na sa hannu na cikin ruwan sanyi zai zama min matsala ya je ya sa shekaran jiya ina driving na gaba yara suna cikin ruwa to yanzu in wani na nan
da yake tare da irin wannan ciwo na
ya zo gida ya kwanta bai da lafiya
haka
shi sa lamarin da yana nan ne kuma kowane bangare duka da challenges da na everyday yasa an ka samu wanda kake kusa da su suka fahimce ka sanda yana bari ya yi maka sauki
na'am
exactly
right
some of the challenges
okay ina gani kin ansa tambayoyi na gaba daya amma magana na karshe menene sako musamman yanzu haka message particularly da kike son ki ba wato iyayen da yake kamar da kika ce ki haka mun san ki you're a corporate worker kin fadi kina drive and a whole lot of things society na cin amfani ki despite all these challenges you're a strong woman Allah ya kiyaye ki okay right right okay so yanzu ki from your side in how you've been able to fight or battle this challenge wani ne message da zaki ba iyayen da yake ƴaƴansu suke tare da wanga because some of them might think of giving up and then also yaran da yake yanzu suke tasowa and then they find themselves in that the stigma alone ba easy bane okay yes exactly that's ba sauki bane you know sometimes mutane sun nisance kansu da ku ire-iren su but you've stand out kin stand tall sosai so wayan ga mutane da kuma karshe al'umma gaba daya how do we also look at people da ke suke tare da waɗannan jarrabawa so messaging ki dongo
to yankuri ina son fara da tambayin ka na karshe zuwa na al'umma gaba daya
okay
shine education
right
kaga abu in ba sani ba
na'am
amma an sani sai ayi ne ayi hankali
na'am
to yanzu in misali in za ka yi aure
na'am
she ka duba jininka she wanda za ka aure ta kuma ta duba jininka she doctor ya gaya muku kaman ba za ku yi aure ba
na'am bai dace ba kenan
kun ya ku yi aure
na'am
to in kun ya ku yi aure ku kun sira kenan
haka
amma in ya gaya muku ba za ku yi aure ba she koma ku tambaye shi me yasa
na'am
in ya gaya muku abin da yasa in ya ce muku okay KAS ne kai AS ne in kuka hadu kuka aihu yaranku sun zama haka ko sun zama haka she ku yi me ku kiyaye
na'am
domin Allah kuma ya ce muna kamar wai bai kama ka da abin da baka sani ba
haka
amma ya tambaye ka ya maka hukunci kan abin da kai ne ka sani domin ka sani ka je kai ka san kamar wurin nan kai da kanka ma baka gyara ba
haka nan ne
shi yasa ya zama na kamar this time around muna yin education nan da dama muna advice muna advocate for this because ni da na fito farko da na zo na zana book na zo na ce ma mutane ko da an sani da na ababai haka da su fashion gada al'amuran gada muke cikin
na'am
so amma she ba san kaman ga abin da ke tare da ni ba
haka nan ne she sa ce you are strong woman
na zo na bayyana na ga ya bisu gaba
na'am
to ga abin da ke tare da ni kaza farko da yawa sun ce kaman wai na sayar da kaina yanzu ba mu da yawa da muke yi mu samu wannan zuciya ko mu samu goyon bayan da za mu fito mu ce kamar mu haka ne
ga abin da ke tare da ku na'am
exactly wannan ma yana bari ne ka iya ka gwada ma mutane wani abubuwa da ya kamata su fahimce a kanka in ka zama sickle cell ne bai gwada kamar ba ka iya ka yi wan ba ko ba ka yi wan ba jazza kana need guide ne
na'am
a guiding ka
na'am
ka fahimce ne
na'am
sai sa mutanen mu don Allah don Annabi su yi mana kokari wanda zai je ya aure duka yake na niyyar aihuwa
na'am
ya je hospital doctor ya duba mai genotype shi da wanda zai aure da su yi aure
na'am
a duba muku ku samu advice doctor
na'am
in kuma kuna wani nana ya ce ya jima yawon gashe sa wurin ma kawai mun san kaman ba mu daidai ba saboda Allah ma
ba mu maka mu adalci ba
relationship ko wani abu ba
na
haka understand shi yasa ya kamata mu je mu duba mu gani mun ce kaman ni da wanga na san shi ya jima kaza wannan duka she ku samu psychologist sai ku samu counselor ku samu ya counsel ku san abin da kuke ciki domin sickle cell lamarin shi wallahi ba
wasa bane na'am
ba ize bane in ka san wani da ke da sickle cell bari in wannan ciwon ya tashi ka kusa da shi ka gani
wow
ba ize bane sai samu ni dan na yi iyaye na godiya
na'am
iyaye na su ne gaba da ko kuma ina musu godiya na san Allah farko da Allah nake ma godiya na biyu shine iyaye na domin shi ya ba su wannan dama ya ba su wannan zuciya suka rika ni ba su yari ni ba wani wuri ba yanzu nake maka magana ga ina da yaran da nake mentors nake magana da su kowane lokaci akan wanga lamari saboda wani ma na wai shi bai zuwa school saboda in je school yaran school na mai dariya
wow that's the stigmatization da nake batun shi nan kenan
exactly shi sa first of all nan iyayen nan su own kamar yes biyana haka ne domin in baka own ba yaron ma da kanshi ya zo ma shi ma yayi me ya zo bai jin daɗi cikin rayuwar shi
na'am
abin da doctor ya gaya maka kai wanda ya ce maka ka bari
ka hana okay
ka samu yaro su kansa Allah ya jarabce ka da wannan
na'am
amma in doctor ya ce ka bari yayi aiki mai karfi ya kuri ka kiyaye shi.
Okay.
In ya ce kaka bari ya je cikin fridge ya ce oh cire mini ice water ko wani abu don Allah kaka bari ya je. Mu ji waɗannan ababai na lifestyle da muke cikin nan shi zai bari muka kiyaye wasu ababai mu samu mu samu rayuwa mai kyau mu ci gaba. Domin crisis ya tashi ba wasa bane. Domin san kaman kowane magani akwai side effects shi. Zuwa sometimes she ka girma da kaga kaman kai magungunan gada nake sha duka she side effects shi ke ga.
Ina tare da wani ciwo da
sannan ya tashi har a je a baka maganin nan. Wannan da mun kiyayen da ya fi ma ka a bamu wannan maganin.
Right.
Understand? Sai sa su samu suna tattalin yaran su. Su yi musu magana. Su bari kamar mu haka ni da ina koyi na kai ka samu nan bana kai ka samu ya ke kiran shi na ka same ni. Muna Allah na taimaka mu muna yi musu magana. Suna ji.
Right. Okay.
Kuma shan ruwa aka ce folic acid. Duka kana sha magungunan da aka je kaka yi self medication.
Okay. Kai kokari ka samu masani dai ya abin ganka. Okay, ya samu. Okay.
Shi lamari daban ne.
Okay.
Ka je drugstore kai na ciwo ka je.
Kai su sai paracetamol ko jebido. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Right, Ajiya Adiza Balafaila, na gode sosai da wanga lokacin. Kuma na gan billboards around town batun projecting da ke da zuwa. Inshallah, we'll be there to support you, okay? Yeah. Okay.
Inshallah, July.
Okay, of this month, Kene. Okay. Mashallah. Nagam billboards in town. So Munzo Kekidamu 29th will be with you at the trade fair. Thank you very much for your time this morning. God bless you so much. Allah yakiya right. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Adiza Balafaila kenan. Right. Doc, naga maganganun kan yanzu Adiza mata wanke ka. Because she's someone living with it. Kuma ta gaya irin kalubale da suke fuskanta.
Exactly.
Kuma you said all, and she confirmed, she testified.
Yeah.
Right. So you're talking about the lifestyle.
The lifestyle.
Yes. So we finished with
the nutrition bit, which is seeing a dietitian relative to how they should come up with the best food that works for you. Then we're also talking about lifestyle modification. So you're watching lokaci ya kamada muduba. Ababa ne kamada me kaman yanda ta fadin nan physical activity akwai wadansu physical activity wakin da baka yake amma yayi mu maybe because ba su fahimta ba she a ce you are lazy or back son kai, but then now we don't have any excuse. I think Hajia Hadiza and I meeting her since 2017.
Okay.
And we talk once a while and all of that. She's a very strong leader.
Very strong
and Tanayin a whole lot to create awareness on the sickle cell.
Recently, I think last project in when you get after the one book and saying that declaring her status. I was like,
exactly.
Now all this while, but
you never knew. She's a very strong. She came for when the program that Moka organized. It was a walk for vulnerable women and children, and that was very positive because Mutani soon just like put themselves in a corner and not come out. But she's so forceful, and then Nashua Kamangana list. Influential ladies in Ghana, she would have a space in such a list and all of that. So just as she said, having for the lifestyle modification, exercise and the they are basic so that you don't overstretch yourself, Yasaka, or making you develop a crisis related to having a sickle cell.
Before I continue about Zwagaba will open the phone lines when at the Tambaya Gameda Wanga issue that discuss na sickle cell and and then doc na nangashe jama'a kuna da tambaya game da wato harkan sickle cell za ku kira number mu when we open the phone lines and inshallah muka bude wayoyi za ku kira 055 36 83010 or 0553 68 3010 0553 683010. The numbers in and display karkashin screen in more announce muku lokacin da zamu bude phone lines and you can call and then you ask doc ko wani tambaya da kuke tare da shi inshallah. Right, doc.
So moving on, and then the third is medication. And the third, there are instances where you need to get medication. Abaka magunguna in the kamada fix specific symptoms. For example, sometimes when I develop some complications, maybe infection, maybe jaundice, and kaka self medicates. J hospital. Yanda tafadin sickle cell condition be among every regular condition. There's like a samu over the counter. Oh, but ni wani magani kaina na chiwo no. Kind of kechiwo could be because of any complication. Wow. The sickle cell and yakaw. So it needs to be investigated. Doctor yafaim tabinda kefarua yabaka medication. And relatively recently, akwe an attempt for a cure. Na yenche cure ma.
Okay.
But then it's very expensive.
Because
and
I was actually coming.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Tune in about management.
Yeah.
Stem. How do you call it? Bone marrow transplant.
Okay.
Bone marrow transplant is
yes, because I watched that on TV some time ago. There was a documentary, the bone marrow transplants. I think they were not even Ghanaians, and it was very expensive.
It was very, very, very expensive. And even though it's being done, it's still largely not so successful, because in Yazo Batum bone marrow transplant, there are so many things you and the donor must have alike, which is sometimes usually very difficult to achieve. Bone marrow basically, and I change the stem cells and they can produce what are non sickle cell and to stem cells that now produce regular red blood cell. That is the whole mechanism around it. Wow. You get it? Even the cure for HIV, the first cure was through a bone marrow transplant. But then repeating the procedure is pretty expensive, sometimes not certain. You get it? But in how do you call it? Sickle cell is a bit more successful than in the case for HIV. But then it's still very expensive. It's still sometimes also
so
very...
like how much are we talking about?
I can't give the numbers of head, because when it comes to healthcare delivery, when you go to, depending on the country you go to, the last procedure I think happened in Canada. I didn't, but then it's quite expensive, in the hundreds, possibly close to the hundreds of thousands of dollars, not Ghana cedis, of course, because the whole procedure, looking for a donor and all of these things are all inclusive in the whole procedure.
I watched on TV, I think they were brothers or so.
Exactly.
And one donated for the other.
So you need to look for somebody who has very close similarities when it comes to your body systems. If not, you end up complicating the issue. Even with bone marrow transplant, there have been instances and issues where people undergo bone marrow transplant and it changes their whole genetics. For example, there was a man who did a bone marrow transplant, and then after some time, his sperm cells were no longer his, but rather that of the person whose transplant was done to him. This was a very interesting health issue that came up, meaning that it sometimes can change you from your core of what you are and all of that. Yes. So these are areas that in medical field, I don't think we are very familiar with in this part of the world. But then it's doable. It's possible in some of these very advanced countries with advanced medicine. Other than that, medications are given. Hydroxyurea is one medication that is given to reduce the how do you call it, the crisis or challenges that people with sickle cell can have. It reduces the amount of sickle cell. And then there's something called, I should have said this earlier, fetal hemoglobin. Now, when you give birth fresh and you do the regular kind of sickling test, you won't be able to tell if the child has a sickle cell yet. You won't be able to tell if they have sickle cell, because at that age, they have something called fetal hemoglobin. The body hasn't started producing the actual adult hemoglobin yet for us to know that the child is a sickle cell, would have sickle cell or not. So you wait for some time, probably 4 or 5 years going, before the body starts producing those sickle cells. So in the case of management, where hydroxyurea is given, it helps production of more fetal hemoglobin. So this is also one of the medication used to manage it. Other than that, it's treated symptomatically. Okay, you have this condition, you're given antibiotics, maybe it's an infection you have, etc., etc. So largely, these are the main approaches in the management for sickle cell disease.
Okay, so understand where recently there was a successful transplant here in Ghana. Shine Well, is it the one that I was talking about?
No. The transplant in Ghana is kidney related. Kidney transplant wasn't a sickle. Sickle cell was done in Canada, and then one other country. Now, we've not actually attempted it here yet at all. We haven't.
Less of.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jama Mumbude, you can call can number 055368 3010. Canada questions related to Wanga conversation between sickle cell duka Kankai Tambaya say Dr. Yabada Watun Jawabi. Hello? Yeah, hello. Hello, salamu alaikum. Lafiya lo migdaya kudi sunan ka da inda kake kira? Sunan ka da inda kake kira? Na'am. Okay, Malam Mutawaki Mustafa daga Ashiye. What's your question, mate? Tambayan ka na yau.
Okay, question about hydroxyurea. What's the side effect?
Okay.
For sickle cell patient. That's one. Two. But from bone marrow transplant.
Na'am.
Is there any side effect for the?
All right.
For the sickler?
Okay.
All right, that's it.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, Malam.
Okay.
I think the two maganin da kakira farko na shi.
Yeah. So basically, yana tambaya batun side effect of hydroxyurea. Basically, iyazo game da magunguna. Basically, in the muke pharmacology school, there's virtually no medication that be the only side effect. So definitely there are side effects for hydroxyurea, which could occur. That is why in the caller Nanki Magananan, she mentioned about some of the side effects after you grow up, you get it. Sometimes some of the side effects could be loss of appetite for some people, depending on how it plays out for you. Kaga when you get nasha paracetamol, I get some reactions. When you get if I take paracetamol, I get constipation. We all present differently with side effects, but definitely there is some side effect. But then how do you manage it? Is stick to the doctor's prescription, check your body parameters, because Masuta the conditions or diseases in that I can manage. After maybe 2 weeks or after every 2 months, you do checks your kidney function, liver function test, full blood count. Kaduba yanda maganin ke affecting ka. So yana present any adverse effect which is undesirable. Your doctor knows exactly what to do. Either reduce the dosage for you or spread it out. Reduce the number of time you take it just to reduce the severity. For the stem cell, stem cell replacement, which is the bone marrow transplant, as I mentioned, it could have complications because you first need to get people who share very similar, physiological similarities with you. No. And then, as I said, there have been cases where somebody who did a bone marrow transplant found out that the whole thing is no longer him. It's rather the person who they did from. Yeah. So, and then when it comes to bone marrow transplant, it could present with a lot of complications. For example, your body could actually react and then fight the new bone marrow that has been put into the body. And a whole lot of things, like, for example, when you do organ transplant, you could even match. They checked everything and matches. But for some strange reason, your body just keeps rejecting it. Your body sees it as an outsider and keeps fighting to kick it out. So, an alien in the body and keeps trying to kick it out. So, there are a whole lot of, there's a wide range of complications that can develop. But then, doctors, what do? Specialists. So, it's a team. There's not even just one person. You have the blood specialist, the geneticist. You have a wide range of people. They study your physiology, they study your conditions, they study that of the donor. They do a whole lot of tests before they decide to go ahead to undergo the procedure. As I said, it's still largely in its infancy. It's not a practice just like here where you can go and get certain procedures if you have money. It's even in the West, it's still something that they are still improving upon. So it presents with some challenges, but we are hoping that just like every field of medicine, as we go on, we get better at it and even find better ways of curing it beyond the sickle cell, beyond the bone marrow transplant.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Okay, calling our drop.
Okay.
So I believe our time is due.
Okay.
And so I would like to take your final words.
Okay.
And on based on the discussion da muka yi nan gaba da final maganganu kana karshe a gurguje a takaice.
Okay. So abin da zan fadi ne yanda Hajiya Hadiza ta fadi. Mu kula da kanmu. Ba mu da excuse in this era.
Yeah.
Especially in this era where kowa na da smartphone. Ni Busangani largely na yi videos in my native tongue because na san kaman yanzu ma waɗanda ba su je school ma suna TikTok, suna Facebook, suna WhatsApp, suna download videos, suna duba. So mu yi audios and audio visuals, mu educate mutane batun conditioning ga. Back in the days ana attribute to ana yaran na mutuwa. They associate it to all these kind of spirit children and all of that.
Okay, understand. Come on, calling be but still, I actually wanted to end with that.
Okay,
please let's listen to one caller and then.
Okay.
Hello, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Don Allah ka rage muryan TV ka. Ya sunan ka da inda kake kira? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sunan ki da inda kike kira Hajiya? Okay, Ajiya kan da ki dan daga min murya kadan. Menene tambayan ki?
Sai na son dai fama da program mai kura.
Right, thank you so much, Hajiya Kande. Thank you. Right, the program is really educative and they are learning a lot. Thank you very much. So, Doc.
Naam. So, the muke concluding now. Mukula, the irin waranga ababa. It's just 150 cities to test. Bami yomu jeopardize the love and the muka nufi kama muna da shi for the health of our children.
Shekai batun da nana gani kama wani yara ne.
Yeah, spiritual children. They keep giving birth and the children are dying. But then it could just be a case of winning the Ketarida AS, the winning the Ketarida AS, or even winning the Ketarida SC, the winning the Ketarida AS. So largely, Mukuledeshi, just 100 cities, 150 cities. I think hospital Mumuna Yinshi for I think 120 cities or so. And there are events in the Anasu Mutanisu, so they do it for free. So it's not a complex procedure. Just walk into any lab, Ayuma, and then not to err on the side, just to err on the side of caution, running hospital just to confirm, because as I said, Nagamuta Aninda Suka present that one genotype result, but then they go somewhere else and it's a different genotype result.
Wow.
Yes, which also proves that you need to go to the right place to do your labs, because this would help affect your lifetime decision. What in the Mikaga Kamansuna Kokari Gameda Wanga is some of the Christian brothers.
No.
I think some churches, they've made it a condition.
No.
We will have to do some series of tests. Pastor approved marriage and it's always included.
Yeah.
Maybe Muma.
I mean, na jifata wa maluma de ba maluma suma so encourage manya maluma. I mean, giant scholars for that matter. So encourage wanga testing.
It's very important, because what the children go through, stigma maybe is over. What they go through is not easy. They struggle through school. Mutani doesn't understand them, so they go like they are lazy, they are castigated, insulted, attacked, and call all manner of names. Imagine growing up with these negativities, and even at home, you are just lazy, you're just giving excuses. Yeah, back to some kayaki. What's laziness in the house? Stop these excuses when you are going through so much. And then worse, you could get complications and even die. So let's pay attention. Let's just go to the hospital. Let's do these labs. You can call me behind the scenes, because my hospital is not far from here. You can call me behind. You can call the producer. I can show you labs that you can come and do it. Or if you want to come to our place, I can show you all of that. You do that, you confirm, and then you are good to go. You can even check when you don't even have a boyfriend yet or girlfriend. You don't have to wait. Okay, exactly. By then, a lot of commitment, you have to do it and have it. So once you start and realize that this guy, the way he's coming, looks like he's interested in. One of the first things you should clear on the table is What's your genotype? Because this is very important. Yeah, so these are exactly. So that there are no commitments before now. We go like, because it's difficult to leave. Some people have decided, come on, what will happen will happen. Let's marry. Yeah. You get it. So that's it.
Love no catch you.
Love no catch you before. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yakubu Tobo Yusuf. Thank you very much, Dr. Kenan da mana maganganu da yawa. Wai kai kokari before ma ka fall in love ka gan kamar yarinya kana son ta, the first thing before ka tambaye ta ya sunan ki ma ka tambaye ta menene genotype ki ko ba haka ba.
Exactly.
Ma ka tambaye ya sunan ki. Right, Dr. Kenan da muke tattaunawa da shi akan watan ciwon nan na sickle cell gaba daya, sa'annan kuma muka yi connecting ita Hajadiza Balafaila wanda ke ta wallafa ma wata littafi game da wannan cuta. Mu kokari mu kiyaye. Ni ne naku Amir Mukhtar, ku ci gaba da kallon Baina TV connected to your world. Gobe kuma za mu hadu insha Allah.